Hello. Thank you for viewing our presentation. This presentation was created by Angela DePoche, Rochelle Heck, Crystal Mills, Morgan Todd, Emily Stern, and Amanda Whitehead. Our focus for this presentation will be on the implementation of a token economy through the school-wide positive behavior support model. This presentation will focus on the implementation of a school-wide token economy in Halls Elementary School. We will take a closer look at the Halls Elementary School later in the presentation. We want to begin by explaining who we are and what our role is. We are a team of BCBAs that provide a variety of resources. Specifically within this presentation, we will be providing the training module as you see, access to literature and research that support the focus of our presentation, tools and tips for implementation, and a step-by-step installation guide. Now that we have introduced ourselves and outlined our role, we think it would be beneficial to review what exactly school-wide positive behavior supports are. Positive behavior supports is a general term used to refer the application of certain applied behavioral sciences. It is primarily used within educational environments, hence school-wide, but can also be used across various settings. Positive behavior supports does just what the name suggests, which is support students through positive supports, focusing on rewarding appropriate behavior rather than punishing negative behaviors. Positive behavior supports is also a valuable behavior modification system that can be used on individuals who exhibit a wide variety of needs, such as disruptive or dangerous behavior, to those who lack motivation or are unable to follow basic school rules and procedures. As mentioned, school-wide positive behavior supports, also known as SWPBS, is based on applied sciences, meaning that it focuses on the basic understanding that behavior is learned and reinforced. That behavior is related to environments. That behavior can also be manipulated through systematic modifications. First, we would like to show you a demonstration of school-wide positive behavior supports in action. We've outlined what we believe the teacher has done as well, and will present to you what that is at the end of the presentation.
Perfect. I love the way that Albert has it up and his hands are still on his desk, clasped together. So with PBIS, you have to maintain the 5-to-1 ratio. I mean, it's very easy sometimes to want to call out the things that you're seeing that students are not doing. You have to remember that students will model from the positives. And it's very obvious as soon as I say, oh, I really like the way that so-and-so is sitting up straight. You see all the little bodies, straighten up. Positives work, and I notice that they work better than the negatives, but I try to remind myself I need to keep it positive so that everybody follows what I want to see, and I don't want them to see. We're probably not going to finish it all. I'm just going to have you get started on it. Okay, Lewis, go ahead and walk us in, please. Excuse me. Thank you. I love the way you guys are in with a voice level 0, which is our expectation.
I promise to accept no for an answer.
Nice. I promise to accept no for an answer. Good. I love how you're participating right now. Excellent. So in a classroom, it's all about frame your expectations positively. So there's a 5-to-1 ratio. You always want to make sure that the amount of times that you are positively framing your expectations are way more than how many times you address a negative behavior. You guys are doing a great job of following instructions and focusing and staying on task. Thank you. Not only did you guys put your hands up, but every single one of you were looking at me with your hands up like this. Perfect. That's excellent. That's what we want to do. I like how, I didn't even say this yet, But when everyone was sharing, the whole entire class was looking at that person. Excellent. Thank you for giving that person your attention. Okay, perfect.
As you can see, the teacher presents the class with positive praise, using the present examples at hand to explain what is being done properly. Examples you can see in here are praising the class for standing in line quietly. Also, students like to model from positive praise. They focus on the positives. So if they're sitting up straight, focus on that. If they're quiet, focus on that. Reminding the students of expectations you have, but remaining positive when addressing the class are very imperative for them to help follow the rules. Also, reminding the class of what positives you are seeing them do. In any applied science, the research that is provided on any given behavior modification system is crucial. We've taken the time to find 6 articles that support system-wide token economies. The citations have been provided for you at the bottom of each article's outline. They can also be found at the resources slide at the end of the presentation. Each article shows a variety of behaviors within a variety of students and individuals that show token economies impacting behavior change in positive socially important ways. The first 2 articles explain how that rule violating is associated with good behavior games in a younger student population was very focused on the praise and responses from the teachers. Using the interventions of the good behavior game in this article showed that there was more consistent in decreasing problem behaviors between students and classrooms. Another article focuses on modification of behaviors with pre-delinquent boys within a token economy. The things to focus on this article showed that certain behaviors were noticed. Then the boys participating that were in this study earned or lost tokens based on whether they demonstrated appropriate behaviors. So target behaviors included promptness, room cleaning, money saving skills, or increased news watching. So as these 2 articles helped us develop different ideas to help you with understanding why we're implementing this at Halls Elementary. The next 2 articles focus also on how using token economy within preschool classrooms and other classrooms really can help increase class participation as well as decrease problem behaviors. The final 2 articles that we really wanted to focus on were seeing how kids responded to rule violations as well as using token economies in school-wide levels. Now that we've defined school-wide behavior supports and token economies, we need to apply these systems to Halls Elementary School. But before we do that, it is important that we look at the important components that make up Halls Elementary School and what makes it unique. Halls Elementary School has 500 students with grades pre-K through 3rd grade. We've got 16 teachers total that lead instructional teachers, special educators, and then there's special teachers. We also have other teachers, or students are also receiving the lowest test scores in the area. Staff are not properly trained for these problematic behaviors. On top of that, we have a limited budget of the school to spend on fixing these problem behaviors. The staff is broken down into 18 professionals, including 2 instructional assistants. These 2 teachers assist in managing hallways when students are present. We have 6 special education teachers who work primarily with students with disabilities. Next, we have 5 specialist teachers, so art, music, physical education teachers. And lastly, we have 5 grade level teachers, primary and lead teachers in each classroom. Now let's take a look at some of the unique needs of Halls Elementary School and how the implementation of a school-wide token economy can be effective. First, half of the students attending Halls Elementary School are functioning 2 years behind in academic areas. Students are also performing lowest in math and reading in the district. Office disciplinary referrals, also known as ODR, are there for students that engage in appropriate behavior. As we can see, 75% of them have received ODRs. 50% who have received an ODR had 4 or more ODRs during these time periods. Also, pre-K and kindergartners have been the worst offenders, constantly running up and down the hallways or even out of the building. Teachers are disciplining students primarily during arrival, dismissal, and lunch, where inappropriate behaviors are occurring most frequently. There is no consistent strategies that are being implemented at the current moment throughout the school as a whole at this time. We also look how that low funding, which results in little money being dedicated to supplies and material to aid in current behavior management, few readily accessible materials at hand on school, and they're understaffed, 18 staff members, 16 teachers, and 2 instructional aides for 500 students. So the teacher to student ratio is 16 to 31 and a quarter. But this is where we have identified the needs, but we also need to keep in mind some of the barriers. So far in this presentation, we've defined school-wide positive behavior supports, the demographics, the needs, and barriers of Halls Elementary School. But now we need to discuss the actual behavior modification system we'll be implementing in Halls Elementary to help reduce inappropriate hallway behaviors. After doing research and looking at a variety of literature, the same ones provided for you on earlier slides, we've decided a token economy with student-chosen reinforcement is the most appropriate. This slide takes time to define a token economy and how it can be combined with a school-wide positive behavior support, implemented in different settings to decrease problem behaviors and increase appropriate behaviors. Students' positive behavior will be reinforced and rewarded. This creates consistency with decreasing problem behaviors throughout the school. Tokens can be received and traded in later for bigger rewards that serve as reinforcers but for also appropriate behaviors. Participation of entire school will be beneficial for all the staff and faculty. The full participation is in implementing the same intervention will allow for a quicker decrease in problem behaviors. Next, these next few coming slides will outline the steps for implementation. After these slides are presented, you will have time to work with your team to identify the various behaviors you see and which reinforcers you believe will serve your students best. First, we look at choosing target behaviors, operationally defining the target behavior, such as tantrums or running out of the building, selecting tokens such as coins, stickers, marbles, identifying both primary and secondary reinforcers or backup reinforcers, determining the reinforcement rate for tokens, when and how many tokens will take for an individual to exchange for a reinforcer or reward. Next, determining how many tokens will be gained or lost, and monitoring the token economy by looking at the target behavior that was selected and adjusting the program based off the success or problems that we have encountered. So first, step 1, choose the behavior. 2, define it so we can help you with that. And 3, select tokens. So the primary and secondary reinforcers for step 4 look at the backup reinforcers. Step 5 determines rates for tokens, when and how many. And 6, determine how many tokens will be gained or lost. Finally, monitor the token economy by looking at the behavior that was selected by you, and then we can adjust it as needed. Everyone should have gotten a worksheet that looks like the one on this slide. Take between 5 to 8 minutes to work together to identify 1, target behaviors, 2, defining those behaviors operationally, which we'll be more than happy to assist you with, selecting the appropriate tokens, identifying the reinforcers, determining the rate of reinforcement, meaning how often, how the token economy will be monitored, and any adjustments or barriers that you can anticipate. Now, after hearing from you and looking at what you've come up with, the BCBAs have worked to come up with materials and reinforcers we believe will be the most effective given financial restrictions and ease of implementation. The following slides outline appropriate materials. Tokens to be placed in a clear, visible jar that will be traded in for reinforcers at appointed times. Some marbles, bingo chips, or other small objects. A visual board that depicts progress, a preference assessment, kind of giving the directions of what the students prefer, hallway visuals, and data collection materials, which will be addressed later in the presentation. Let's now identify the steps to implementation. First, the class will have a marble jar. A pointed, rotating, assumably, line leader that will carry the jar during hallway transitions. Once the whole class reaches a new destination, for example, a new classroom, students who demonstrated appropriate hallway behavior will be allowed to add a given marble to the jar. At the end of each day, the teacher will update the individual class on progress. Update visible hallway charts that show the class's progress. As you can see in the picture, the students have chose to work for different things in first of playing, then decorating, then getting ice pops, then a pajama party, and then popcorn and a movie. So for this one, these are the training materials that we would be using. Since there is a financial limitation of the budget, we will print and provide a progress chart to each teacher for their classroom. Students will then be shown by their teacher this chart, along with explaining the rules and expectations to reach their goal. Using praise continually throughout explaining and verifying with students can increase the buy-in from these students. Students or teachers can color in each section as their classroom progresses towards their goals. It will be important to remind the students weekly of what they are working towards to help them stay on task. It is imperative to hang these in the hallway I will signs on the teachers' doors and throughout the halls that are provided from us. Role model and practice these 4 easy steps with your students of the hallway expectations to help decrease the problem behaviors within the hallway. It is expected of the students to make their marble jar throughout their transitions, It can be useful to show the students at the end of the day how many marbles they earned paired with the expectations of how well they did. For example, when teaching the students, you can go over this chart and say, in the hallway, I will walk, and have them repeat walk. Then again, you will say, in the hallway, I will have quiet hands, and then have them repeat, and so on and so forth. This provides some communication with them and also participation from them as well. Next, this type of preference assessment allows the students to verbally and gesturally pick out what they want. This gives them a possibility to look at the strongest reinforcements that will be good for them to help change their problem behaviors. This is one way you can determine which reinforcers will motivate your learners the most. Each class will have an ability to vote on a preferred positive reinforcement to earn. The teacher will provide a list of 5 options to their class. As you can see next in the picture, these are just some examples that we can use, such as using a pen, wearing a hat. It can also be having a movie day. It could also be having extra recess time. Then the teacher will write on the board those 5 rewards to choose from. The class will take a vote to decide their reward. By doing this, the students will put their heads down and raise their hands, indicating which preference of reward they want when the teacher reads aloud which one. The reward with the total amount of points, will be what the class works for to earn. Now that we've identified the basics for our token economy, it is important that we look at how these tokens will be earned. First, each class will have an opportunity to earn a marble after each appropriate transition throughout the day. There are 3 transitions, and therefore, there is potential to earn a maximum of 3 marbles per day. If one, if one member of the class engages in unexpected behavior during the transition, the whole class is unable to earn the reward. This will encourage teamwork, as the children must rely on their peers to behave appropriately in order to gain reinforcement. Each class must obtain 12 to 15 marbles by noon on Friday of each week to receive that week's reinforcement. Each class that earns 48 to 60 marbles by noon on the last Friday of the month receives the largest reinforcement. Therefore, marbles will be counted cumulatively each month. Expected behavior must be continuous for higher reinforcements to be achieved. Along with providing tokens at appropriate intervals after appropriate behaviors have been demonstrated by the students, it's important to ensure that there is a correlation between the tokens, reinforcers provided, and an increase in appropriate behaviors. So this is why it is important that data is collected, such as daily frequency recording data collection forms will be provided to each teacher. Teachers will then fill out data collection sheets daily. It's imperative to mark if the class did or did not receive a marble during each transition. Indicate at the bottom of the form the calculations of the total amount of marbles that the class has earned for the week thus far. Indicate if the reinforcement was earned, and then also, once those steps have been completed and collected, a school administrator will total the amount of marbles earned for the month, giving the final reinforcement for that class. Here's an example of how data can be collected and used to make adjustments if necessary, or continue with the program as is. In this example, in Exhibit A, you can see that the teacher is labeled, the grade, the times of the transitions, if the marble was earned with either yes or no, and how many marbles were earned that day, and how many at the entire week. Because there are several barriers that we are facing, the most influential in the development of this program being financial, it is inconceivable that we will hire no new staff. This means it will be important to redistribute the roles of the staff Halls Elementary currently has. This is what we believe will be the most beneficial if each group is trained by BCBAs and the principal decides who will fit in each role with the current staff. So looking at the professionals we have with BCBAs, 2 instructional assistants, 6 special ed teachers, 5 specialists, 5 grade levels, and training that will be conducted for the implementation. The following slides will look at the installation process, such as workshops and trainings. This training and other workshops will teach teachers and other support staff how to properly implement the token economy system. Trainings will include seminars and in-service meetings that will utilize PowerPoint presentations and other resources available, such as literature, research articles, and other documents that demonstrate the effectiveness of token economies within SWPBS, also known as School-Wide Positive Behavior Supports. Meetings will also be held periodically for teachers to follow up on the token economy systems and to see what is working well with the students. In this slide, understanding the tiered model of SWPBS and how the understanding of this model can positively impact your school and students. The tier that is appropriate for Halls Elementary School is Tier 1. Tier 1 is appropriate because it is directed to all the students. Tier 1 focuses on all students as a whole, and then the token economy systems will be implemented with all students in the school for classroom and school rewards. Specific skills and tasks will vary with each student depending on their needs. Tier 2 and 3 would be an option for students that need more support. First, the installation phase, we have to look at the funding, the resources, the strategies for personal utilization, supporting policies, operational procedures, professional development activities, startup costs, and parent and community involvement. First, if we look at funding streams, there's no additional funds that will be necessary to implement the token economy through the school. Current staff will be designated to stay in high traffic areas. BCBAs will provide training and materials necessary for implementation at no additional cost to school districts. And additionally, trainings will occur during monthly staff meetings. The resources that we use are the BCBAs, us, that will provide the necessary resources for implementation of token economy. BCBAs will provide tokens, marbles and jars. Then the school will provide reinforcers, free time, field day, homework passes, etc. Next, the strategies for personal utilization. The school's BCBAs will develop the token economy plan and implementation strategy. Lead teachers in each classroom will then be responsible to be required to keep track of the daily behaviors on data tracking sheets that we have provided. Data will be transferred to giving tokens. Each class will receive or not receive a marbles at the end of each hallway transition. Next, we look at the supporting policy. Hall's current behavior policies are appropriate for both token economy and school-wide positive behavior supports. All teachers and support staff will be able to identify inappropriate and appropriate behaviors clearly. The teachers will also maintain consistency a month prior to implementing the intervention. Again, let's look at Exhibit A to use that as a reference. Operational procedures here will be development, implementation, and analysis. The BCBAs will be responsible for this part of development and analysis, i.e. the data collection and reviewing data to determine the effectiveness. The teachers will be responsible for implementation stages, differentiation between appropriate and inappropriate behavior, recording on a data sheet, and how and then the reward and reinforce. Professional development activities, including mandatory staff meetings, role-playing scenarios with other teachers, questions and answers. Teachers will also be provided with a list of items that their class may receive. This will be conducted in the form of student surveys. Next, the startup costs. Trainings will be conducted during these meetings. Tokens will be given those, and then that will be the weekly reinforcers at no cost. The weekly and monthly reinforcers will also have no additional cost to them. Tokens will be only needed as materials, and costs will be covered by the BCBAs. Finally, parent and community. The monthly parent meetings will be conducted. This helps supportive research to be explained to them and have them understand what we're doing in the school. Students' behaviors and progress will also be continually shared with parents, ultimately giving a very open communication between both the school and the parents, as well as the community. Some final things to keep in mind would be implementation of a token economy is to promote appropriate behaviors and decrease problem behaviors. Decreases in negative behaviors will allow the students to improve socially and academically. Continuing education and training of all staff will allow for the most effective implementation of a school-wide token economy program and lead to reliable and valid data. All staff and support staff should be on the same page at all times so that accuracy and consistency of the program is maintained. And finally, reinforcers should be presented immediately. Waiting to present them may reduce value of the reinforcer, so it's important to give the marbles immediately. If you are interested in additional literature regarding school-wide positive behavior support plans, we've included 2 more articles in our presentation for your viewing. A Promising Approach for Expanding and Sustaining School-Wide Positive Behavior Supports, and the other one will be Examining the Evidence Base for School-Wide Positive Behavior Supports. Thank you for taking the time to review our presentation. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact any one of the BCBAs on this case. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.